SKAARHOJ products is the natural choice for universal camera control, and our flagship product in this space is the RCP Pro. It supports almost any type of camera: studio cameras, cinema cameras, PTZ cameras, or even small POV or point of view cameras like this impressive camera from Proton. POV cameras are usually not IP enabled because of their size, but that's not a problem here. The Proton receives both power and control via an adapter connected using USB to the SKAARHOJ Blue Pill server, instantly making it IP enabled. And despite its size, its small size, the Proton offers deep and professional control, and that's exactly what we'll explore in this video, with the RCP Pro connected through the Blue Pill to the Proton camera. So this adapter comes from Proton themselves, so that's like official USB into the Blue Pill, and that will enable it on the network, as I just said. And this UI you see right here is coming straight out of the Blue Pill. Basically, all SKAARHOJ products have a web UI that makes it instantly possible to configure them, and some of them, like the Blue Pill or the RCP Pro, has a very powerful computer inside, so it can talk to many devices by itself autonomously without having any computer on the network that does the heavy lifting. And that's also the case here. Now, here, usually when devices are added to SKAARHOJ products, you'll see an IP address. But we are connected to the Proton through USB. So instead of an IP address right here, if we click, we'll see that we're using USB serial as the connection method to the camera. But as this also reveals, there are many other ways that we can interact with a camera of any sort, including IP, where typically you would set a port. And for serial devices, there is often also a bus ID involved, because multiple cameras could be on the same serial bus and they would have an ID like ID number 1, which is probably the default in this case. So much for the interface here. Another curiosity is that the Blue Pill and the RCP Pro is actually in the same UI. So even though it feels a little bit reversed, in this case, the Blue Pill is the brain and the RCP Pro is in fact piggybacking on the power of the Blue Pill. So it's the Blue Pill that controls the RCP Pro, but it could just as well be the other way around, because in SKAARHOJ's ecosystem, we have a software platform that makes this possible. Not the focus of today, but if you want to configure the RCP Pro, it's going to look like this. You could click on RCP Pro in here. You can see all the settings that we have on this amazing RCP control panel. And if I make adjustments, let's do that on the joystick down here, for instance, then you'll see these adjustments are immediately reflected in the UI of the Blue Pill or the RCP Pro, and you also see the effect on the Proton's output itself. Let's take a closer look at the settings that are on the RCP Pro, because this is the star of the show, and a typical RCP control experience involves the joystick. And I would argue we have probably the world's most fancy, best produced, most advanced joystick with a display on top that will show you the exact settings for your lens. So the idea is that you use this to adjust the light intake or the iris or the aperture of the lens on the camera by pulling the handle. And it's basically communicating to the camera through the Blue Pill over there. You can also typically turn the ring here and adjust master black. Unfortunately, it's not on the Proton camera, or we didn't find it. So it's not a part of the package as of today. You have a joystick override, so you can press the joystick down and you'll see that you will hear there's a relay clicking inside the unit if you have an old school GPI hook up to a video router. But otherwise, it's possible inside the UI to actually add devices like, let's just use the word router. And if I do that, I would expect, if I do not search among, so there's like Kumos, there are SWPO8, there's all kinds of routers inside of the device support that you find in these devices. So you can also do it over IP. Let's move into the menu. So up here, typically the home menu represents some select settings from the other menus that you want to bring out on the home screen. And you can configure that in the UI, which we won't do today. If you move into exposure, you have exposure related settings like auto exposure correction, which is currently on, and there's different modes. You can set that in, so you turn this knob to adjust which mode that you want to use. You also have max gain settings that you can adjust, which is related to this. And if you think adjusting these values are in 2 small steps, you can click the knob and then you have larger steps to adjust them in. So typically with a factor 5 or 10, you'll change the resolution of every click or every turn of the encoder here. So you can sit and work with these settings. That's basically what the camera offers you, and that's typically how we integrate these devices. There is no like, hey, we gotta have a lowest common denominator and that's how our universal product works. No, actually, we spend so many engineering hours in implementing exactly the parameters that every manufacturer has in their unique products. And this is why our universal controllers is not a compromise. It is like a native solution for the Proton camera. In the color menu, we have red, green, and blue gain, which we can adjust for the camera here. Let's do some coarse adjustments. You can easily see the effect here, so there's definitely something coming out of that. We also have the black settings that we can adjust here. Now, if you mess up stuff, you can press and hold, and you resetting the camera to default values. That's very useful, by the way. In the second color menu, you find flare, and we can also adjust flare, and we'll see some effect on the image right there, obviously. Anyway, we could keep on doing that for all day, but I want to dive into Multimatrix. That's an advanced feature, and the cool thing is here that we can like pick a vector in the like color circle of the image. So by holding down the shift key, I can adjust how many segments you have. So imagine you have like a color circle. How many segments do you want to divide that into? 12, 16, 24, 32, and each time you change that, the amount of values you have here in this selector changes. But now let's just go back to like 12 to just keep it simple. And now we have a limited set here, and I want to adjust the blue. So let's see if we can grab like the blue in the image, the color of the SKAARHOJ box just around A and R in the image, and see if we can do something about that. So now I've chosen that vector on my Multimatrix, and as I turn this knob, you'll see that I'm changing the saturation of that blue color. It's now getting more dark blue, but I can also do the opposite and basically just gray it out if I want. And that's how a Multimatrix functions. That allows you to pick a color in the image and work specifically with that. You could also actually turn it into a slightly different variant of blue. So what if I want it to be more like a lighter bluish color? Then by turning it 7.2 degrees to in the color circle, I'm changing the tone of that blue. But I could also do the opposite, and if any day I want our branding color to be purple, yeah, it's possible by simply using a Proton camera and the Multimatrix function inside of it. This is an example of deep control. That's what cameras like these are doing for you. This is why they're professional broadcast cameras. They allow you to do that kind of fancy and important things for live productions. We have filters, we have knee, we have a second menu here with additional settings like brightness, contrast, hue, saturation, auto white balance, how fast to make that move, exposure, flipping the image. That should be fun. Okay, let's just go back. Video mode, etc. and lens control. It's actually possible to zoom. So you can basically set a zoom speed. It's a bit clunky on the RCP here. So basically now I'm just zooming out by a speed of 20. And then I can bring it back to 0 to stop it all up again. And that's obviously not the main function of an RCP, because this is where you do the shading using the joystick. This is where you are using the color matrix settings that we just explored, etc. So that's SKAARHOJ universal camera control on a POV camera like the Proton here, using a blue pill as a middleman between the serial connection of the camera and the IP world that we are living in. This product could also basically mix in other cameras at the same time. It allows you to be used for different cameras on any other day. So that's the nature of universal broadcast control. And if you like this kind of content and you're curious for more, please like and subscribe to this channel. Follow us on social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, and X. Subscribe to our newsletter to get monthly updates, or reach out to our sales and support team. They are always happy to help you and answer your questions on whatever related to SKAARHOJ products.